Hey, I'm Melanie Trailer, and welcome back to the Dandy Quilt Along. We are on week 4. So about halfway, I think. I think it's about halfway. Our sponsor this week was our 3 different sponsors this week are all long arm quilters. Everyday Modern Quilts, Ladybug Threads, and Third Story Threads. Each of these long armors are offering up a prize for quilting services on your quilt. You can read more about that in your participation email that went out earlier. Also, they're all offering discounts. So if you don't win the prize or you just, want to get something quilted, use those discounts that they gave us. I know they appreciate it and I appreciate it too. I'm so grateful to them for offering these really great prizes. Good luck winning. All right, week 4, our task is to make another set of blocks. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen for you. All right, let's get to it.
So let me put up the slide about how many strip sets you're going to be making. And I've already shown you all the demos. So I've shown you how to make the strip sets one at a time and then cut your blocks from it. I've also showed you how to speed things up and batch every step of the way. So we don't have any more demos left to show you. Instead of focusing on the blocks that you need to make this week, I'm going to shift focus to layout. That way next week, we'll just talk about sewing all of those blocks together. When you get done with your final set of blocks, you will be ready to lay these blocks out. And it doesn't matter if you're laying them out on the floor, on a tabletop, or on a design wall. Whatever space you use, perfectly fine. The pattern is going to tell you how many rows and how many columns that you'll have, right? And then what I've done is like every week, when I first started sewing, I sewed all of my darks together. So I've got those in a good stack. The second week, I sewed all of my mediums and some of my lights together. And then just this week, I sewed what was left of some mediums and then all of my lights. And I've gone ahead and broken them up into, stacks. If you are working with an ombre, you may want to do the same thing. If you're not working with ombre, it probably doesn't matter at all. And I don't know if you remember, but I'm going to be laying out my darks in the middle, and then we're going to fade to the lightest on the top and the bottom of the quilt. So that's what I'm going to have in mind as I lay my blocks out. So I'm going to start doing that. All right, if you're wondering about the design wall, I made this myself. And it's just foam core board, and I taped batting around it, and then I nailed the whole thing to my wall. So it's really, really simple to make, and it's very, very helpful to be able to stand up and do this. But again, for this, I was sitting on the floor doing it for years and years and years, so there's no wrong way. We're just going to start laying these blocks out. Let me get all of this stack laid out, and then we'll talk more. All of my darkest fabrics are on the wall. And so there's no wrong way to do this. You may be putting your dark at the very top. You may be putting your dark at the bottom. You may be not even thinking about your darks, okay? So just toss away any kind of worry or anything out of your head. This is kind of playtime. So I don't know if things are going to stay this way. I'm just kind of putting things on the wall as I go. So now that I've got my very darkest fabrics in where I see the middle of my quilt being, now I'm going to start on that next colorway. So these are going to be my medium fabrics and my light fabrics. So let me do the same thing, getting these on the wall, working my way to the top and working my way to the bottom, and we'll see where we're at. I've got my stack of darks on the wall. I've got my medium fabrics. I must have not had a lot of medium fabrics because I'm already seeing some of my lights pop up. But you can kind of see where we're going. I've got 2 more rows that I have to put on here, and then I have to fill in all these empty spots. But then I'll have my lights, on the top and bottom. But I want to emphasize that you can't do this wrong. This is whatever you want it to be. So keep that in mind if you're thinking, oh, I wish I used too much. I wish I used more darks, or oh, I wish I used more lights. We can sit here and take these off the wall and put them back on the wall 100 times until we come up with a design we like. I've got 1 more stack, my lights, and I'm going to get them on the wall now. I have it done. I am really, really happy with mine. I kind of want to play with this layout, but I also don't want to lose what I've got because I really, really like it. So I hope that kind of made sense about what I was trying to tell you I was trying to do. I know my fabrics aren't really dark, but some of them are darker than others. So I've got it dark, medium, to my lightest. So once you get your blocks laid out, another good thing to do is let them sit for a few days. I like to usually do this for like, 4, 5, 6 days. Let them sit here. And as I use this room, as I walk around, things will pop out of me that I think could be better. I would take that time when I notice those things and I would go and make those changes then. But my first look, I'm really, really happy with it. It's exactly how I envisioned it. If again, this whole layout time we've kind of been only talking about ombre. I'm going to pop up a picture of that other dandy quilt I made. And in that one, I didn't think at all about placement. I just laid out 16 blocks by 9 and went to sewing them together. So if you are not doing this ombre stuff, just lay them out however you want until you've got it looking good. The important thing though is to get this part done and spend a little bit of time looking at it. What I want to look for during this week is just color problems. And then I've just noticed, looking at the quilt in the camera, that this little part right here, my eye kind of goes right there, and I feel like this fabric is too light to be there. So I may end up swapping that for something else. Another thing that I'm looking for is if two fabrics are touching. I know that all of us don't care if fabrics touch each other, but it is a big pet peeve of mine in my own quilts. So I don't like fabrics to touch, so I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen in my quilt. Something you may want to think about, or you may want to be like, yeah, I don't care. Another thing, when I'm looking at this quilt right behind me in this video, I can see more than my eye can see. I feel like I'm just seeing it better. So maybe snap a picture of your quilt laid out and then stare at that. I feel like your eyes can see it a little bit better. That may not be true for every instance. It may really be depending on my lighting, but just kind of something to play with.
Have fun making your last set of blocks, and don't sweat that layout. It is for fun and you can't do anything wrong. Just keep playing with it until you are happy with it. I will see you next week when we start piecing our blocks together. Happy sewing until then.